Hey, thanks for checking out this video today. If we don't know each other yet, my name is Michelle and I work as a soul translator as well as have Sensate Soul, a resource and community for all things sensate, sensitive, and success if you are an empathic entrepreneur. So today's video, we're going to be talking about sensitives and social media. I recently took about 3-week break from all things of influence. And when I say all things of influence, I mean social media, other people's content, opt-ins, freebies, in general, just really put on those blinders and did not expose myself intentionally or unintentionally to anybody else's energies and all the things that go on with being human, being alive, and also doing our work and our mission in the world. And in today's video, I'd love to share a few things that I learned and some tips for you to be able to take care of yourself on social media with the influence of other people's content, if you are an empath or not, because really all of us, and I'm going to say this very, straightforwardly, all of us can take a break from that barrage of information that we get in a highly informational, connected world. So one thing I'll say up front here, this is not going to be a rant of anti-social media. What I really want to share is my experience as an empath and sensitive, having had a significant break off of all influences, like I said, and what I learned about myself, being somebody who is very sensitive to energy and the emotions of others. Empaths are incredibly impressionable. And it takes extra work for empaths and sensitives to be able to discern what is somebody else's and what is theirs. This is part of the sense and sensibility of who we are. It's, if you wanted to call it, it is the Achilles heel. The thing that makes us the strongest is also the thing that makes us the most vulnerable. It can also be considered the blessing or the curse, however you want to put it. Empaths have an incredible capacity to have and sense and feel the impression of others. We can be very impressionable in that sense because an unchecked empath will tend to merge their energy with others. Meaning, unconsciously, if you're not aware that you're doing it, you could be allowing yourself to basically be a chameleon and get into the world and the energy, and also sometimes the ego and, of course, feeling the emotions, but you can easily adapt yourself to other people. So this is where this is like this Achilles heel. We have this incredible capacity to connect with others. And on the other side of that is the possibility to lose our sense of self in others. This is not the same as codependence, and that we'll talk about that in another video. So on the one side of this, there's this deep capacity for connection and empathy and resonance. And on the other side of this, and also if you're a healer, hello, that's why it's you're such a good one. But on the other side of this, there can be this sense of losing yourself in the world of another. One thing also I want to say with this is, I don't want to give the impression here that empaths don't have a strong sense of self. I actually find it's the opposite for empaths and sensitives, that we really do have an incredibly strong sense of inner knowing, a sense of ourselves. However, we can get into a habit of disregarding and disconnecting from our own strong self and our self-esteem in order to get into naturally and sometimes self-sabotagingly, depending on how you're working with your energies and why, what is the belief system underneath there. But as you've probably experienced as an empath, there is that shadow side where we can lose ourselves in another. And in fact, that is the backbone of the work that we do in order to become an empowered empath, is to be able to truly be our sovereign soul and energetic self, so that we can then have healthier relationships and also healthier connections to our work and the things that we are doing that do require us if you are an empathic entrepreneur, to step out and be seen, to be more visible. And even as an introvert, as I am, introvert, learn to be also in some situations extrovert. But then there is the courage and the practice and the awareness that allows us then to be able to step out and be more visible. So another thing to think about if you're an empath and sensitive is the amount of information, the amount of influence, the roller coaster of energies and emotions that you will experience, that we all experience as we're scrolling. It is literally like, I make the joke where it's like you go to the smorgasbord of social media, the smorgasbord of sensitivity, and there's just so many choices and everything is laid out in front of you, and it can really get overwhelming. Unfortunately, how that then can affect all of our self-esteem, because we feel like we don't know what we want, we don't know who we are, because we have all of this information coming at us. So, when you're scrolling, we are getting hit by the full spectrum of the human experience and of the human emotional experience. So this is certainly not new news to you. I'm sure that social media and all the information age can be incredibly affecting on all of us, but it is different for empaths and sensitives. And I want to get a little more personal with this about what I discovered. I realized after having some space from it and some quiet that actually social media was an addiction for me. And because of being an empath and sensitive, that literally was like being in the candy store of connection. I know that sounds really weird, but it is like and especially because most of us are wanting for things to be mellower when it comes to all of the things we are feeling. But I had to admit to myself that I was using social media as well as other people's content as a way to basically to feel emotionally and empathically charged up. Here's another side of it, and this was the weirder discovery. And this is being pretty transparent here. But I realized that I would pick up my phone, or my tendency to get on social media would come more from a place where when I'm in a bad mood. Yeah, well, that probably doesn't sound so surprising, but here's the thing. What I also realized is that I wanted to be on social media in order to feel a little worse about the world, or a little worse about myself. But when you think about it, I know that sounds strange, but it's really no different than somebody who has an addiction, who reaches for the wrong relationship, the wrong person, the substance, or whatever it is that they're addicted to, because they're going for it for some sort of relief, because it is proving to them, it is keeping the fear and the negative belief in place. So it's a very twisted self-sabotage. It's no different than somebody saying, I've had a shitty day and now I'm going to have a drink to make me feel better. But it's really no different, because it's like a cascading self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, oh, well, I feel horrible, so I'm going to do this thing that I think is going to help me. But actually, really what it does is it just reinforces the negative emotion, the negative feeling, the negative belief. But I really got to see how I could use social media as a way to fill an empathic connection when I felt like I was a little, depleted or not getting enough real life connection. And then as well as a place that I can tend to, in my weaker moments, I can tend to turn to as a way to self-sabotage and, feel worse about myself. So I'd like to share now 4 things and also one resource that you can use to just play with some awareness around how you are using social media, and maybe ways that you can use it better as an empath and sensitive for your sensitivities. All right, here's the first thing. Try to have your morning other people's information or social media free, and get something done, feel productive, dedicate your time and energy to something that you're creatively working on or working on. Don't give that precious time first thing in the morning when we are the most impressionable, and also when many of us have a lot of energy if you happen to be a morning person. Of course, this is different if you're more of an evening person. But try not to give that precious time of your energy and attention to the rest of the world and to other people's lives and what's going on with them, and really focus on yourself and make yourself the priority. So practically speaking, maybe this means, like I'm doing, is I won't go onto social media or read other people's newsletters and such until the afternoon, until after lunch, when I feel like I've had a good chunk, whether I'm working with seeing clients or working on my business. That is my time, or writing or whatever, but that's my time to feel like I'm moving forward and getting some things accomplished. So number 2 is just setting a timer. Of course, there are those times where we want to zone out and just chill, and maybe social media is part of that. However, because we get so into the things that we're seeing and feeling, especially as empaths and sensitives, before we know it, 2 hours can pass, and we've gone through an entire lifetime and lifetimes of other people's experiences and pains and celebrations and everything, and then we wonder why we're completely depleted. So the third point is actually connected to number 2. When you are spending a lot of time in front of a computer and also doing social media, try to drink a glass of water for every hour that you are in front of the computer. So drinking water is great to keep your brain hydrated, your body hydrated. It's great for everybody, but particularly also for empaths and sensitives who are spending a lot of time digesting and taking in other people's content and emotions, because think of it like after you have a massage. After you have a massage, often your therapist will give you a big glass of water. It's because you want to be able to flush a lot of that emotional issues that were in the tissues and the energies that have been released through the muscles, through the tissues, with the water, to be able to kind of rehydrate not only your physical body, but also your emotional, your energetic, your subtle body. A little extra tip on this one about hydration that I want to add is really being conscious of your breathing and tending to stay in your body when you're doing social media, because it can be really easy for some of us to leave our bodies because there's just so much information and emotions coming at us. And when you're setting your timer and doing some social media, drinking a glass of water, I know this is a tall order, but go with me here. And then also being mindful of your breathing as you are. So the thing is, many of us will go on social media as a break or to connect or to zone out, and maybe we're already a little bit depleted, or we've had a tough day and our breathing is already a little bit superficial, a little high. And then we go on to social media, and particularly for empaths and sensitives, and we have all this, smorgasbord of experience and emotions, and we forget about our breathing. We can tend to go out of body for some of us, and then we wonder why we feel even more depleted after being on social media. So here's number 4, which is actually connected to 3 and 2. When you're using social media, if you are a more impressionable person as an empath and sensitive, it's really important to be able to discern what you're going to pay attention to and what you decide not to, because you can't pay attention to all of it, and it can easily happen where we can get ourselves feeling like we're getting pulled in so many different ways, emotionally and energetically. So if you feel you got the timer going on and you've got some water and you're aware of your breathing, then you can work with the basic yes-no kind of energetic discernment and not feel guilty about the things that you don't respond to, or that you're not liking everything and loving everything. Because then you can have that authentic response of, is this for me to pay attention to, or is this something that I don't want to take in? And you can feel an instant opening or expansion, or you can feel that flat line where it's just like there's no energy here, or you can feel the actual contraction or even a little bit of the repelling energy, instead of paying attention to everybody and everything. So you can feel in your body a real desire to respond or to pay attention to something, or a neutrality, or even something that is saying, nope, not for me. and not to feel guilty about it. Okay, so the last thing here is a resource tip. There is a program, it's free on the internet. It's called rescuetime.com, and it's a thing that you can add to the dashboard of your computer that will track the usage of the time that you are productive, on the time that you are in social media, and it's really great to see where you're actually putting your energy and time. So one last thing I want to say here at the end, which was really beautiful in the surprise that it gave me after having 3 weeks of not being on social media, was how much I genuinely missed some people that I had never met physically in my life. And it really brought a deeper appreciation for the real, genuine relationships that I have created and that is possible through social media. So it was really great to see also what positive influence being on social media has also had on my life personally, and as well, of course, professionally. And I just had a deeper respect for so many people and for the authentic relationships that have formed through being on social media. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. And if you liked what you heard here, please do give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel. Or to stay connected on a weekly basis, you can find me at thesoultranslator.com, as well as the Sensate Soul. All right, take great care and so much love.